What's up, everybody? Welcome to Spacs Attack. We got a great show. We got so much to talk about. We got some ratings updates. We've got a deal to talk about and also some high flyers out there that follow along with the story that Mitch and I gave yesterday on Spacs Attack. And of course, we've got a former SPAC moving on a new CEO announcement. We'll cover all of that soon. This is Spacs Attack. What's going on, everybody? Yeah, welcome to Spacs Attack. We got a great show. As I said, Mitch, what's going on? How we doing today?
Not too bad. Doing a little switching the roles here, enjoying
Got to
it.
switch things up. I mean, months later, but might as well try something, right?
Hey, we got to get you to do some openers too. That way, I mean, you probably won't even need me. Just kick me on out. But yeah, ready for talking about some SPACs. So how we doing out there, traders? What's going on? Look at that. Look at that genie love. I can't blame you for the genie love. We did see a little bit of a downturn in genie. I was actually looking to see if we were going to get to 20 today. I even had an order out, guys. I was going to sell some of my genie, just a third of the position. I want to hold the rest of it, at least going into the tax kind of next tax season. So we'll see if we can get there. I'm just hanging on. I'm hanging on. And with that one, sometimes it does hurt to see it go from, let's say, 17 to 19 to back to 17. But you just got to relax. As a trader, as long as you're not underwater, just take it easy. Just take it easy. This is a long-term approach for me, and I expect it to kind of just continue moving. Get to the price target, because that's the price target. Then I'll go ahead and take some off.
Yeah, Mitch, I mean, we've been talking sports betting for a while. You've had some great calls recently. We did get a nice bump yesterday, and I'm seeing most of the sports betting, names pull back a little bit today, right? We're going to see some profit taking. We did have quite a green day yesterday for that sector. So DraftKings hit that $60 price target I did see yesterday, Mitch, but we're back down to 58 today. But again, we're heading into the NFL season, college football. So I think long-term bullishness, but we will see some pullbacks here and then. I mean, that's common with these former SPACs, just like it is with any stock sector out there.
Well, they want the brain, so let's give them the brain. Let's go ahead and let's get into these headlines like we always do, Chris. I think there was some headlines that were even about a maybe. Why is it moving behind us? Why is Ride moving? Let's find out. Let's do it like we always do. Take us back to those headlines.
All right, guys. Yeah, so a lot to get into today. And as I said, we did get one deal announced today, a brand that many out there are probably familiar with. Up first, we've got some analyst notes to talk about. So we have EVLV, that's Evolve Technologies. Stifle initiating coverage with a buy rating and a price target of $12 on Evolve. So keep an eye out on that one. And then the other one getting a analyst note today, following up on one yesterday, we have Rover, ROVR, William Blair initiating coverage on Rover Group with an outperform rating, no price target assigned. But this is 2 days in a row now that Rover has gotten some analyst coverage. Remember, today is also National Dog Day. Maybe we see some tweets, some press for companies like Rover out there. This has been one that Mitch has been talking about for a while. ROVR. Again, the analysts jumping in here, they like this stock. They like the growth, right? We talked the sector. The sector of pets is growing throughout the pandemic and going forward. People are going to spend money on their pets. They also want to take vacations and want to know that their pets are cared for and properly vetted. So it's a sector I definitely am bullish on. And then Blade, BLDE, Credit Suisse, starting off coverage on the name with an outperform rating, a price target of $14. They're seeing upside as the company adds customers in the next few years. They also talk about the target markets, New York City, the Northeast, and the West Coast, being good starting points and a good price structure in place for this company. So keep an eye out, BLDE. We see all those EVTOL names, getting love from Kathy Wood out there and also others. It is a early stage market, but Blade looks to be like a possible leader in this space. And then an update on psth. We shared recently, Bill Ackman wants to change the structure of the company again. He wants to turn it into a SPAC, all that. And he shared an update that yesterday, if the SPAC is approved, they will then continue to pursue a business combination on behalf of a SPAC rather than psth. Keep an eye out on psth. We did see shares dip below $20, which is their net asset value for the first time. We also have seen warrants take quite a hit as people have seemed to lose patience with this one, and also not a big fan of the change in structure that Ackman has proposed. We got a couple approvals out there and going to talk redemption rates. We'll look at some of these names during the watch list today, but we have SNPR approving their merger with Volta, and 70%, 24.2 million shares were redeemed as part of that process. So this one, it did have a move up yesterday, but now it is back down below $10. Remember, you no longer have the redemption time on this one. But keep an eye out, SNPR, it will have a lower float than it had before. And then GWAC, 75.5% of shares redeemed on the Cipher Mining deal vote. That was 12.8 million shares. So this one's going to have less than 10 million shares available to trade when it completes the merger. I am long shares of GWAC. And as I said, we'll get to more on the redemption rates in the watch list. We do have one rumor out there, ticker ALTU, in talks with GetAround, a car sharing startup backed by SoftBank Group. This rumor is from Reuters. The company has sought investors to participate in the PIPE at a valuation of $1.7 billion, according to sources. GetAround operates a peer-to-peer car-sharing marketplace. It allows vehicle owners to rent out your car on an hourly or a daily basis. Operates in 100 U.S. cities and 170 European locations, over 6 million users globally. Company had previously raised $800 million in funding, including SoftBank being a large investor. Then we turn to our deal. We have ticker OPA, that's Magnus Opus Acquisition, bringing Forbes Global Media Holdings public. Many of you out there probably know Forbes. It's a magazine brand. It's an online finance brand. They also have education. They have fintech awards. Ultimately, they are a competitor of Benzinga's. We know the brand well here, but announcing that deal today, valuing the company at $630 million, including a $400 million PIPE. Public OPA shareholders will own 24% of the new company. Merger expected to close in the fourth quarter of this year or first quarter of next year. New ticker will be FRBS. So the Forbes brand reaches over 150 million people worldwide through print, digital, and brand extensions. Also have 45 licensed local editions that cover 76 countries and also bring in additional licensing revenue to the company. Forbes is one of the top 50 most visited websites on the internet with 3.5 billion annual page views, over 42 million social media followers across several platforms, and 6 million print readers of that magazine. Forbes has been around over 100 years. It's one of the most well-known brands in business and finance. They said that the funding will help them succeed on their digital transformation and also pursue additional growth opportunities. So among the growth items listed in the presentation, finance, education, entrepreneurship, and lifestyle. Revenue of $183 million in fiscal 2020. Revenue they see hitting $211 million in fiscal 2021 and $237 million in fiscal 2022. 2021 revenue is expected to be split 65% media, 35% non-media. But going forward, they want to change that. They want to see 45% revenue from media, 38% from consumer, and 17% from their brand extension. So a shift in the business model here for Forbes, and part of the reason why they are going public. And then our mover to talk about before we dive into that watch list, as Mitch said on the screen behind him, Lordstown Motors announcing a new CEO today. So Daniel A. Ninivaggi, he previously served as the CEO of Icahn Enterprises, the holding company led by Carl Icahn. He began his automotive career at Lear Corporation. He also worked for Federal Mogul Holdings, so a lot of experience in the auto market. He led the automotive aftermarket service network and parts distribution business in his last venture. And before auto, he also worked for Motorola Mobility, Navistar International, Hertz Global Holdings, and CVR Energy. This could be a big positive for Lordstown Motors, right? Because they get someone with that auto experience. He also has capital markets expertise. He also has some strong relationships with some top automotive parts companies, which we could see lead to some financing or some partnerships down the road. So ride shares, I mean, last I checked, they were up 25%. That's about where we are right now, up 26%, $6.96. I mean, this thing bottomed out at $4.77 just a couple weeks ago. This could be the lifeline they need. But Mitch, what do you think of this? So Ride, I mean, they get the new CEO. He's got lots of automotive experience. I think that's a huge positive. I think he brings with him some partnership possibilities, but they didn't announce any new financing. They still need money. So the big question is, will the CEO, bring in that money in those partnerships, or is this just, sell the news at this point on ride shares?
Well, I think this is kind of a little bit of both. This is their attempt to really come back, right? I mean, I don't think the company is really trying to sell out right now. They have an opportunity still with the endurance truck. I mean, it's a good looking truck, right? I mean, at least from the truck, like, we can try to battle if they can meet the needs and the production, but the truck itself, I think, is a very good looking truck. I think it's one of the top EV trucks if you compare side by side, at least aesthetic wise. So they have the potential. Now, of course, they need to revamp this whole company. They need, and how do you usually do that? You start at the top, right? You remove the top and you put someone else at the top. So I think this is just now you have to pay attention. How is Daniel really going to go about it? Because if Daniel takes the right steps here, he has a great partnership. He can still reach out to GM to kind of keep working that relationship. I think at this point, you have to really start figuring out what's the need here. Is it cash? Is it to get the cars out? I think it's both of those, right? And so we know that they're going to probably need some cash. So we got to be careful for an offering. But another thing that can happen is, of course, if they start getting out this production and they're able to actually, let's say, get out in maybe early 2022, I don't think it's going to happen in 2021, but early 2022 is where I could see them shifting this. And I mean, there's a lot of vehicles that are coming out in 2022, right, Chris? I mean, so they can kind of get back in line.
Yeah, definitely. We've got that comment there. They have no chance once the F-150 hits the road. We do have the F-150 Lightning. We also have the Tesla Cybertruck, which already got pushed back. Yeah. Mitch, that was an interesting point you brought up right at the start there, right? That, we kind of talked about it on the show, right? Would Lordstown Motors just, look to be acquired, right? At this point, they're struggling. They need financing. Their CEO stepped down. So the board of directors, I think, had an opportunity to maybe shop the company around. And ultimately, I think by announcing a new CEO today, I wonder a little bit if that's kind of off the table. I mean, I think they'd still take a buyout offer if they got one. but I'm wondering if either they didn't plan on selling or there wasn't interest there. Because I think bringing someone in with automotive experience, they're just going to go head on, right? They want to produce this vehicle, they want to bring it to market, they want to see this through. And I like the fact that he's got leadership in the auto industry, right? They didn't just bring in someone with, acquisition experience, merger experience, someone with a turnaround experience. They brought in someone who's worked with auto companies before. So I think now I just don't see them necessarily getting bought out, anymore based on this hiring. And I don't know if that's necessarily a bullish or a bearish thing here, because I kind of thought maybe the best case scenario for shareholders at this point was going to be to sell the company. I think today you're seeing that big move, but I think the big question still remains is where is the capital coming from? How are they going to get this truck to market? So I don't know. That's my take on that. I like the hiring, but again, I wonder if now an acquisition is maybe not an option for them.
We'll definitely have to look and see what happens with Ride. I know a lot of people follow that stock, and I can't blame them. It was a stock supported, by our past president, and it just hasn't gone to what was said even back then. I mean, I remember still when we first saw with Pence and the Lordstown truck. I mean, where are we at? Can we get back towards the way that was looking? I think that's the only way you see this company really survive is they need to come back and really get back to what they were said they were going to do.
Yeah, and I mean, you said it, Mitch, right? Like it's a nice looking truck, right? If they can get it to market, I think there would be some demand there based on the visual appeal of it. It also has some differentiating factors. I think they priced it decently. They got some interest from some fleet customers. And Mitch, we talk, marketing and partnerships all the time, right? So they have a endorsement deal with Joe Burrow, right? The quarterback of the Bengals. We're heading into the NFL season. I mean, get Joe Burrow a pickup truck, right? So he can drive this to games, to the practice facility, get some more brand awareness out there for him. We like you said, we did see Trump. We saw this vehicle on the lawn of the White House. We saw Pence talk about it. And we've got Joe Biden riding around in the F-150 Lightning, instead. So there's a little bit of a dip there for them in terms of brand awareness. So I think they just, it was a good hire today, but I think this is only the start of what really needs to happen with the company.
Well, I don't know if it's news related or not, but I'm going to go ahead and jump into the watch list here and talk about a stock that I am seeing up today. You guys out there, smash that like. Let's get these likes up. Let's get this party started. All right, guys, let's go ahead and watch what is going on out there in this market. Look at this. Nikola up too. What is it? Is it a party?
Go figure. That Ride would be up and Nikola would also be up.
Look at that move.
Yeah. I don't know if there news on Nikola. I didn't see anything.
I have no idea, but that is a nice looking.
Look at Benzinga Pro. We're up 5%. I am not seeing any news on Nikola there. So guys in the chat, if you know what's going on with Nikola, let us know.
You know what that is? This is just relationship with Ride.
Yeah.
I think somehow Nikola and Ride have become pairs.
I mean, if they've become pairs, shouldn't they just merge together, Mitch, like we suggested, right?
Yeah. You know what? I'm actually do some research for us, Chris. I have a website that can look up correlation. I'm going to look up how correlated these two are now. And if maybe their correlation has gone higher as this relationship has really come together. But definitely, I mean, look at that. That's a good chart today for Nikola. Went all the way up to 1045, came back to what? Right there at 1006, which was this support, bounced right off of that. It's looking actually strong. We'll see if the volume comes back. You see how the volume's getting a little weaker? You want to see a nice big volume bar step up here if it's going to get through that 1050. But what are you guys thinking about the chart change? I tried to do the ticker a little bit easier to.
I like that. I know a lot of people ask about the ticker, Mitch. That's looking great. It's a nice
looking better
color on there. You can see it. I'm curious though, going back to Ride, before we move on completely here, guys in the chat, just let us know, one, if you like this new hire from Lordstown Motors, and a two, if you either don't like the new hire or you're disappointed that the company maybe is not seeking to be acquired here. So one, if you're bullish on the hire, and two, if you were hoping for an acquisition and less bullish now going forward. Yeah, Nikola, that's an interesting trade, but I mean, Mitch, you're already getting compliments on that ticker. You got that Raz would approve. I'm sure he would. He asked for the ticker to be on the screen all the time, and now you've got it big and bold there. So shout out, Mitch.
I'm trying.
I've got a couple. We got a 3 if we don't care on Lordstown Motors. Yeah. So I got a couple tickers, Mitch, that we can look at here. So the one we talked about, the big move yesterday, right, was LWAC. And this was the one that had the 97% redemption. I mean, where did we end yesterday, right? So this thing hit $70 in pre-market. When we talked about it on the show, it was still going up quite a bit, or it was actually on its way down. Around 24, and by the end of the day we closed at like 18. So this is what I was talking about, right? These one-day trades, the high redemption, the low float, this is what happens on the back end, right? And then Mitch, we got to bring up BLUW. I already saw a couple people in the chat mention it. I did tweet out this name yesterday, and Mitch, I don't know if you've looked at this. This thing had an insane move today. Full disclosure, and I tweeted it out, I bought shares at around $10.20, and I got out of my position in the high 20s. Shares got halted twice, and look at this chart. This is exactly what I was talking about. If you want to get into this, Mitch, the high risk, high reward, right? Look at what happens if I wouldn't have gotten out of this thing before those halts and before it started coming back down. I mean, and I know everyone's saying they missed my tweet. Some people saw it, some people didn't. I wasn't.
What you gotta do?
What's that?
Gotta be quicker than that.
Some people, so I wasn't able to share it on the stream yesterday, but Mitch, I do have a new one. We might as well bring up the chart. We have DFNS. So DFNS recently had its redemption. This thing has a lower float. I believe it's got 17 million shares. Based on the redemption date and the share price, I would expect a redemption rate of around 70%. Shares have already started moving today, though. So I did take a small position in this one. And again, this is high risk, high reward, guys, not financial advice. And make sure you're paying attention if you do get in this. But I would expect to see a high redemption rate later tonight, and then shares getting a possible spike tomorrow. But the flip side is if they don't get that spike early tomorrow, they could fall drastically below the $10 mark. So please be careful. But Mitch, it looks like that trend we called out yesterday with these redemption rates it's a new way, right? It's a new way to play it. We saw it with LWAC, we saw it with BLUW then, and now we're starting to see people buy into these SPACs around the date of the merger. So it's interesting where before we used to see shares fall below $10 immediately, right? When the merger vote would happen. And now we're seeing the opposite. Shares actually go up after the redemption rate, but then they come crashing back down. So just to throw that one out there for everyone, DFNS, again, guys, not financial advice, but I did take a position today, and I am fully out of that BLUW position. If you are still in it, please be careful, because those shares look like they are just going to keep falling down today. They are trading above 11 though, which is a nice improvement from that $10 level. What else are you seeing moving out there, Mitch? I just had to share that trade idea there, but and Jay Rice saying people catching on, doubt it happens again. So that is the thing. We are seeing shares jump to $11 right away. A lot of people chase now. So if that continues, I might not do this trade anymore. I want to be early. I want to lower my risk. I want to try to get in below $10 before the spike happens, just to protect my downside. But it's something to definitely look at. Mitch, what do you think?
Without a doubt. I mean, remember what I talked about these also is that you want to have a brokerage that supports this kind of trade. So if you can't be trading at the 4 a.m., 5 a.m. time, maybe this trade is not for you. Another thing is this is a very high speed type of trade. I showed it on the chart yesterday. If you didn't watch yesterday's show, definitely go back to that. But I've shown it how it can move, a couple points in about a 1 minute candle. And the problem with that is that you actually saw it on the chart. In the 1 minute, you were getting gaps. If you're seeing gaps, you know what that shows? That shows illiquidity. And so there's no shares being traded in between those prices there. And that's not a good thing. That just shows you that it's going to be very hard to get in and out of these trades. You have to be kind of more of an experienced trader, or at least be willing to take this kind of risk.
Yeah, and BLUW, it looks like, started moving below $11. Mitch, you said it best, right? LWAC, its biggest move yesterday was between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. When it hit the $70 mark. And BLUW, same thing today. The biggest trades were in the pre-market before 9:30. And then once the market opened, and we got into it, I mean, what happened? Shares started dropping off. The trade was over. So Mitch just called it out, and he said it perfectly. If you have a broker who doesn't support trade, I'm not going to name all the brokers, but if you have a broker who doesn't support trading until 9 or 9:30, you may not want to be in these positions overnight, because you're not going to be able to exit your position until your broker allows you to. So again, guys, we're sharing some ideas, but please be careful. I don't want to see anyone. Yeah, and Mark already asking for more. So that is the research I'm doing, is looking at which companies have redemption rates, when the vote dates are.
Where is the money, Chris?
Yeah,
Where is the money?
Yeah, I did some
Show
research on that today. And the hard part, Mitch, is that there's so many variables, right? You have to look at when the redemption date is, when the vote date is, what the share count is, because we also have some that have, higher. So there's one that has a vote next week, Mitch, Supernova Partners, SPNV, if you can pull up SPNV. So this is, the shares are at 988. So not too far off from $10, right? But they have over 40 million shares out. So even if 75% of people redeem their shares, you're still looking at a float of, over 10 million. So this isn't going to be a low float per se. And also, it's Supernova. It's got a decent brand awareness. And being at 988, I just don't know if the same redemption rate hits, right? You have to have all those things to factor in. You have to have shares trading, significantly under 10 to where everyone wants to redeem at $10. You have to have lower float, and then you have to time it right too, because what happens when all these SPACs start spiking back up to $10 before the redemption rate? Well, people may not redeem their shares anymore, so then the trade is over. So that's the other thing I see, Mitch, happening, is that we're now seeing these SPACs start to spike back up to $10. Well, if they spike back up to $10, people may not redeem then, so then the trade is over. So again, guys, be careful. But, there's one, just to throw it out there, SPNV, that may have high redemption, but it also won't be low float. So it's probably not going to get the same move. But I am looking at the calendar. I'm trying to bring that information for our SPACs Attack family to give some ideas. I'll also be sharing them on Twitter. So if you don't follow me, please follow. Please also follow Mitch. I'll share with him so he knows, and he can tweet about it as well.
Boom.
Yeah, so we'll try to call out some trade ideas later on in the week. So, like I said, this is a new trend I'm seeing. It's something Mitch and I have both called out, the story in the chart, right, of the redemption rate. And now there's an opportunity, but that opportunity may go away fast as others start to catch on. So, just something to keep an eye on. But yeah.
All right, let's keep going. I know you mentioned about up. I'm not the biggest fan of that one, but interesting one up today, ASTS. So Space Mobile here. I'm wondering, is there any news out on this? I mean, it did pop a little bit above 10, but you know how I always talk about we got to hold 10. Didn't continue to run there. What are you thinking? Is this just more sympathy?
So ASTS, I know they had news the other day that someone connected the dots with one of the phone companies offering more 5G coverage from cars, and ASTS being a partner of that phone company. So if you connect the dots, maybe down the road, ASTS will provide its 5G from space to connected cars, which, Mitch, we've talked about, autonomous vehicles, right? Electric vehicles, a lot of them need that connectivity. Where is it coming from? It could be ASTS. And then also one of the big funds, I believe it was David Einhorn, took a position. Yep. David Einhorn in a 13F last week unveiled a new stake in ASTS. So anytime you're getting these big investors, right, get into some of these names, they believe in the story. So interesting to see, that Einhorn looking at this one that could be a couple years away from real revenue.
All right. And so we can see on the daily how it came right back down to the support of this big candle. Look how you got these 3 multiple lows right there to go off of. That's what you want to be seeing when you're looking for a reversal, is multiple lows in the same area. You had right here 802, 803, 804. You see how it slightly just went to that. That's what you want to see. 3 closes near the same low. I'd even jump in on probably on the next candle up, and look how you started getting this nice candle on up. Now we're really starting to uptrend here. The question is now when we get towards the last breakdown, you're getting towards a prior support that could become a resistance. It broke through that level. Now it comes back to this level. You don't want to see it crack 950s. You want to see it hold here and really get back above 10. We've talked about how that's so psychological with SPACs. Once they get back above 10, people actually kind of start considering them for the bullish ride. Let's keep going. Let's get into the next one. GOEV, interesting day for it, up about 5% and really starting to look like it's trying to get out of this downtrend. What are you thinking about this one, Chris?
Yeah, and GOEV, I mean, they had some down days earlier this week. It could be a sympathy play here to Ride and Nikola, right? This is a startup, a company looking to get more deals, looking to get financing. It could just be that sympathy trade. I'm not as big of a fan of GOEV because they don't have, as many contracts or orders out there. They still need to get that going, but it does look like a decent trade here. What do you think, Mitch?
Yeah, it's interesting because you had a bunch of volume here, 15.69 million, had a high there of 787. So I would want it to close above that today to show that momentum that it really wants to hold $8. And then it could probably start trying to make a trend back up to 10. But for right now, it's been fighting that $8 resistance. It's a prior where this broke down right here, this last pattern. And so the real key is, can it get back above that volume and really hold? Give us some volume too, because if you see the volume is just tapering off, and a lot of times you're going to want volume going into your breakout, not going away from the breakout. Let's keep going. Let's get into another one here. OpFi, I did see it mentioned in the chat. John Doe, I see you. I got you. All right, let's go ahead. Let's do OpFi. What are you thinking, Chris? This has a nice little turnaround. What did we get down here? Multiple lows in the same area. Now, this is where you kind of have to judge it. So, like, it had 3 lows. You got this low right here, 607, 606, 611, and 601. So all in that same kind of $6 to $6.10 area. That's where the support is. Now the question is, can we get back through this level, the 750s? That's what I'd be kind of paying attention to. And you could also draw a kind of a trend line from the breakdown, the last candle that tried to break out there. And I think you can come back to try to attack this resistance here.
Yeah, OpFi is interesting, Mitch. If you look at that chart, so on August 5th, it got the short report put out on the company right around, where's the 5th?
Right here.
Yeah, right there. Then they reported earnings, right? And then that's that big bar, right? You start to see a little uptick on the 12th there when they reported earnings. And then since then, it lost that momentum again. But on the upswing here, it got a couple analyst notes, right? It got a $10 price target. It got a $7 price target. So it could be people reacting to those analyst price targets and also that earnings report. Remember, when these companies get short reports, the companies need to put out, a defense, right? They either need to issue a statement that day, the next day, and say, hey, we deny these claims. This is not what happened, or they need to address them in their earnings report. And that's what OppFi did, right? Is in their earnings report, they talked about the case against them. They denied it and all that. So it could be that people, are definitely looking at now more of the bullish case than that short report.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on OppFi. Let's keep going. Let's go to the next one. I'm getting a little hungry, so let's talk a little burger. Let's take a look here at BurgerFi. How's this stock doing? Really creating a bottom look here. I'm seeing multiple lows at the 950. That's starting to interest me because we're not too far off that level. And what are we doing? We're finally starting to get back above 10 and holding sideways. The key is close above 10 and stop breaking below it. There's lows here, 990s, 989s, 990s. You see how it's standing out there? And so what you want to do is get back above the 10, but when the next time that it tries to go down below that $10, you see a nice volume step up, and then it pushes through that last high. We got multiple highs here too. We got 1038 and 1043. So the 1050 area, the psychological area where you want to see some big volume step up and then start taking the volume with it. And then next thing you know, you could get it back up towards that high where you have at $12. We'll see if BFI starts really making a move here. I kind of like this stock. I might take a look at it because I have a feeling restaurants are going to get another push. I know department stores got a push last week. Can restaurants get a push? What are you thinking, Chris?
Yeah, Mitch, I am long BurgerFi. We've talked about this one before on air and off air, right? I like the concept. I like the makeup trade, right, to a Shake Shack. They have less units. They also have more of a pure play on drive-through and delivery service, right, which is where the growth is at for restaurants. They're designing their new restaurants with that in mind. I mean, I just wrote an article not too long ago, Mitch, about Taco Bell, right, putting out a 4-lane double-decker drive-through location because that's where speed of service is at, right? No one's coming in your restaurants. Everyone's going through the drive-through. They're picking up their Uber Eats, their delivery orders to take to people's houses. So you need more drive-through lanes, and you need it to be quicker there. So if Taco Bell's spending the money there, BurgerFi's been spending the money there for months already. That's why I got into BurgerFi. I think they have the trends down. And Mitch, the news I'm seeing on Benzinga Pro today for BurgerFi BFI is something I think you'll appreciate as well. They hired a investor relations firm to help with their IR and brand awareness. Talk about BurgerFi not being known nationwide, right? They don't have locations in every state. Going after a marketing plan with a new IR firm, I think that's bullish for me there. And again, I do own shares of BFI.
I like it. On the weekly, you're seeing clear support at that 974 multiple times to bounce off that 990. Now you just need to start getting a push back up. And if that happens, there you go. You have your spot, right? 990 held 3 times on the daily. At least you have a risk spot. That's what I always like to do, guys. I mean, at the end of the day, we never know if a trade is going to go right or wrong. I can say this again. Never, ever know if the trade is going to go right or wrong. The only thing you can know is to get in the right setups and hold to your risk, look for your reward. I can't say it enough. Whenever you take a trade, it's just probability. And if you at least know where your risk is, have your out spot, that like that 990, multiple levels touched there, that's what trading is all about. I mean, especially if you're going to be a trader. There's a difference if you're taking an investment approach and you're trying to like maybe dollar down, cost average if you do get in a kind of a bagger. But this is, if you're trading, those are what you want to be seeing, multiple lows. And I always talk about how multiple time frame supports. You're seeing it there. Let's take a look how it looks on the daily. You're seeing this kind of low here. You don't want it to crack back down this level, let alone this weekly level of 974. So now that you have multiple levels to go off of there, you at least have another line in the sand, which it gives you just an ability to keep the tight risk. Even if this is going to turn around, it's not going to look good if it breaks that 990 again.
Mitch, there's one I saw in the chat. I'm curious your take on the chart
Let's take
here.
a look.
TDAC,
I had a feeling.
lottery.com.
The lottery.
So if you pull up the 1 month chart, I saw a lot of sideways movement.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what I'm seeing
getting
in this
nice.
thing over the 1 month is just a ton of sideways action, right? Not really going up, not really going down a ton. I will note, I think this one will get mentioned as a low float name. That's something I called out before. The difference here, Mitch, right, is this is already a low float name, but it trades over $11. I don't think a lot of people are going to be redeeming their shares, right, for net asset value when shares trade at 11. But I think that this is one that could do well on the ticker changeover too, right? And also the name change, right? It'll be known as lottery.com. They also own sports.com instead of Trident Acquisitions. Again, SPAC is all about going public, but once you change over to that new name, that new ticker, you also get thrown into baskets, right? So like Mitch talks about basket trading. He had a great segment on sports betting stocks on Money Mitch, where he picked out a basket of sports betting stocks, right? So some were up a ton and some were up, a little bit. And a lot of them were up, a good amount, right? So if you took that whole basket, you outperformed the market, right? And that's what basket trading is. Well, now with lottery.com, also owning sports.com and getting into sports betting, do they belong in that sports betting basket? Well, then they're going to get picked up, as a sector play. And again, if they can get this deal closed sooner than later, I think they look good going into the big sports season. So TDAC is one that's been on my watch for a long time. And what do you think of this chart, though, Mitch? I mean, we saw shares dip, but now we're starting to see that sideways and up.
So I think we're kind of in this pattern right here. This is kind of what you call a bear pennant, or you could call it a bear flag if you drew it a little bit different. But I'm going to draw this a little bit more like a you could say a decline, a descending triangle also. So you get this kind of down action and it's starting to bounce, right? So we've had pretty much one strong bounce here and then another strong bounce. You want to keep letting it chop and show you a big breakout because this is a downward trending pattern. You don't want it to crack down big down here to 1075. You want it to get back above this 1140 and show you big volume when it did here on this breakdown. You saw you got this big volume, 350,000. You want to see that on the breakout so that you get right back above this main candle here, which the high is 1179. It's going to be a hard area to break out of. So the biggest thing is just keep your eyes on the volume on the breakout. This is one that I would wait for it to actually start showing the move versus trying to get down here and grab it right here. Even though if you do take it down here, at least you have your level, right? You have the 1075 that shows up on the daily and also shows up on the weekly. That's exactly what you want to see. The biggest key is you see these wicks on the weekly. We need to get through those. This one right here is 1132, and this one here is 1150. So let's get back through those with some big volume. Then you can see it start trending back towards this 13. It's an interesting chart. I'll tell you that. I'll keep it on radar. And like you mentioned, it could definitely start getting a good momentum into the next couple of weeks. This would be one that I would look for what I call the laggard play. Whenever you see an industry move, especially an industry leader make a big move up, look for in that industry some stocks to catch some sympathy and make a move up, because traders do the same thing that I'm doing. They see one stock moving as the leader, they're looking for the next one to move, and then they just jump on the momentum that's there.
Yeah, I mean, it's one, again, I like the prospect of the company, right? But I want to time my entry right, which is why, I listen to Mitch a lot when it comes to the charts. He's better at charting than I am. He knows that. I like the story, though, right? I like the online lottery. I like the online sports betting. I mean, I'm a guy, I want convenience, right? I don't want to have to go to a gas station to buy a lottery ticket. I don't want to have to go to a casino to place a bet on sports. I want to be able to do those things online. And here you have lottery.com offering both of those things. So it could be a good trade once that ticker change happens. I see you got Proterra up. What are we thinking on Proterra here, Mitch?
Yeah, I'm wondering about this one because I've been waiting to see what's going to really happen with the kind of is it going to come back to attack that low, because it blew through this support here, this 964, which I thought it was going to hold a little bit, which was that early trading of a PTRA before announcement or anything, and it blew right through that. So it's kind of a little scary there that it blew right through that. I would expect some kind of bounce there. And that's kind of where you saw this steep decline. This was a pretty steep decline there in just a couple of days. It went up to from 1250 all the way towards a low of 877. So right now, I wouldn't try to get this one unless you're trying to hold off these lows right now. Let's say 994, 990, and 995. That's actually not a bad look. Remember how I talked about whenever you get those 3 consecutive closes at that low, at least you have a level to rely on. So I think some traders are taking this trade right now. They're taking their shot. I can't blame them. Why wouldn't they try to take a shot there? At least you have a level to go off. Let's say if someone was getting in right now, they're just holding off this low right here. They're gonna be like, okay, as long as that doesn't break down, I'm gonna look for this upside look towards 1250. And if we get through 1250, the next level up would be 14. This stock has a lot of people looking to get it back up because this one, when it did the changeover, it cracked hard. I think this was it right here, right, Chris?
Yeah.
And so you're going to definitely have some overhead supply when you get towards that level. So 16 is kind of like the highest target I would put on it right now. But it does look like someone is taking a shot here. The biggest thing that you're seeing, though, is not an increase of that volume. You want to see a big push in volume. But if we see here, and I'm going shorter and shorter into time frames because that's what I like to do, guys. We got to work backwards, not forward. Don't go to the 1 and then work towards the daily. Go from weekly to daily to now we're going to the 15. And you can see how it did pushes. 1 push up, 1 pull back. Another push up, another pull back, another push up, another pull back. What do we always say, guys? So that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, right? Now that we got the third resistance, we just need the third support to hold. It comes back, tries to break down through the support, but doesn't. Retraces that level immediately, and now we're getting the breakout. I like the look, at least on a 15-minute, for the breakout from these levels. So now you have your line in the sand, the 990s. You see how those multiple lows closing at those levels shows up even on a shorter time frame? That's what you want to see. A lot of people have asked me this question, and this is maybe just a learning lesson moment. They asked me, well, Chris, I had a bull flag, but my bull flags look like bear flags because they just keep breaking down. Well, look at it on a multi-time frame. Do you see the same pattern on a multi-time frame? Or is it that it's just showing up on the 1 minute, but then you look on it in a 5 minute, that's not the same pattern. 15-minute, not the same pattern. This is essentially the same pattern that we're seeing showing up on the daily with those multiple closes right there. Multiple lows, support showing up, and now you're seeing the shorter time frame, flag, pattern, hold here, pennant, whatever you want to call it, taking off. And that's why I like the rule of 3 too. You guys will start seeing that if you guys look for that. I think it's something that was interesting. It definitely blew my mind when I started doing that and looking for those 3 resistance touch, 3 supports, hold that third support, look for the breakout.
And Mitch, on a more macro scale, right, with Proterra, obviously the news cycle right now is a lot about the Afghanistan crisis that's going on. So the infrastructure bill from our government kind of took a backseat right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that it shouldn't have. I don't want to get too political here, but Proterra was one of those companies that was going to be seen as a benefactor of the infrastructure bill. And right now that news cycle on the infrastructure bill and the electric buses is in the back seat. So I think Proterra also lost, some support there as that sector trade and maybe needs that news to come back for that one. Mitch, I did see another ticker that I actually have not looked at in a while, VWE, Vintage Wine Estate. Let's pull up that chart from
Use some good wine.
John Doe. Remember we had them on and we talked about doing like a wine tasting on a Friday unwind. I'm going to have to hit them up and see if we can arrange that again.
Not only are you going to have to hit them up, I'm going to have to put them on the happy hour.
There we
My
go.
happy hour Friday.
Yeah, maybe we should do taste testing on the happy hour.
A little happy hour. They could send me a box of wine. I'll wait for it to arrive. I won't be mad.
So shares hit $10 today, and they were trading under $9 recently. That last uptrend there. What do you think? What do you make out of this chart here, Mitch? I'm curious, and I know John also asking. Again, I love this company. I like the long-term prospect, but from a chart perspective, what do we see for VWE here now that it's at $10?
$10. Just needs to hold $10. That's it. Now we're getting back above that. It's okay when these things crack underneath 10. Of course, you don't want to see any of these SPACs going down to 4. I'm going to be as transparent as I can be. If you're seeing that, just be careful. And that's why I tell you to look at the monthly candles to see that big decline. If you're seeing that big candle on the monthly, to stay away until you see that reversal. Here, you're clearly starting to see a reversal. Let's take a look at the weekly. What do you get? Multiple lows near the same area. You get right here. What do you get? 898. Next week, 888. Next week, 902. So now we know, all right, you're trying to hold that $9 spot. So at least now we know a good level to really pay attention to. We don't ever want to see it break 9 again, because if it breaks 9 again, it's probably going to wick through that low that you have here, which is 888. So at that point, now you're just trying to fight the next spot up. So I would use the support of this to call it a resistance. So prior support becoming resistance, and you can see we're running right into that level right now, which is back here. So if we drew this sideways, look how it goes right to it. You see? So that's what you want to be looking. Now that's the next level to get through. And what is that level? Right above $10. So now let's get above 10 and hold sideways above 10. Then you can start seeing it try to take out some highs, 1150s, 1250s, and those would be the next level ups.
Mitch, let's go back to Ride. I see this comment in the chat here. CEO exploring all options to raise. I just found it looks like the new CEO had an interview today. That shouldn't come as a surprise, right? He said, Lordstown exploring all options to raise cash. Lordstown won't have binding orders until production starts. Says endurance production on schedule. Those are the 3 bullet points I'm seeing. What do you make of that, Mitch? That kind of goes a little backwards to what I thought. Maybe they are ultimately looking for, a big partnership or an equity stake from someone to raise money, and then also saying production's on schedule. I don't know. I don't want to say, he's lying, but the company did say before that they were a little cash strapped and weren't going to meet some production goals due to, supplies and financing. So I feel like maybe we're laying out too much of a bullish case here, but I guess if you're a new CEO, you want to be super bullish. So I don't know, Mitch, anything you take away from that today?
It's a battle. It's a battle for sure. If I was in his position, I have to think about it like that. If I was in his position, I don't see why you wouldn't want to get some investment. All right, so guys, I'm going to have some fun for us here. Let's see if I can get filled on Ride here. I'm going to try to get a fill here.
On the dip now? You're going long Ride?
Right now, if I can get filled. I haven't gotten filled, guys. All discretion, guys. It doesn't mean you guys go and take it. I'm just trying to do something fun for us here. Live trade right now on SPACs. Let's see if we get a fill.
Mitch, it looks like Mark's going to help you out. He said he'll create Ride NFTs to get it pumping. Maybe that's what Lordstown Motors and Nikola need to do. Maybe they need to put out some NFTs. So, but it's interesting. You look at this chart, and I can almost guess when the CEO's appearance was, right? Because we saw high volume. We saw shares start to dip.
No fill there.
No fill. So
I hate when I get no fills.
it does look like it's coming back up now. So I mean, again, shares were up over 750, around $10. We dipped all the way to what, about 650, almost 660, on the back end, and now we're starting to go up a little bit. So I'm curious where Lordstown Motors ends the day at, right? So I think it's definitely going to end in the green. But we're up about 22% now. I think earlier today I would have guessed that it would have closed up 25%. But now after this interview, I just don't know if we see the Bulls or the Bears take control.
All right, guys. So I'm going to be taking it off this support right here, right? So now we know our level right here. 660 is my out. I'm getting in right here at 675. Just got to fill at 675. I'm looking for a ride back up through this resistance. $7 is going to be my important price target to watch. I could take some of it off at 7, but I'm going to look for it to break out through that 7 and get on back up here towards 720. Let's see what we get on this live trade for you guys right here on Spacs. You guys smash the like if you guys are enjoying me taking a live trade right in front of you, letting know your risk, letting know where I'm getting in. And I mean, this is as transparent as it gets here, guys. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, definitely. You know, Mitch, awesome to bring that to the table here. Sue asking, should we get in rides? Sue, again, this isn't financial advice by any means.
This is what I play the disclaimer here.
You also got Carl calling out saying it's a big mistake.
Mitch.
Well, I guess we'll find out, right? The Pride Dog has too many fleas.
Hey, isn't it Dog Day?
It is National Dog Day. Loving the comments, guys. Thanks again for being our loyal viewers here.
Isn't it Dog Day? I think
smash that like. You just saw Mitch make a live trade. You got some trade ideas from me earlier. If you followed me on Twitter, you saw some winners called out. We got to get to 100 likes again today, just like we did yesterday. Smash that like. And, you know, Mitch just called out all those levels. That's important, right? I mean, he gave you the out and the in, you know, on this full transparency. So we will be
from there.
We'll be tracking this today. You know, I'll be following along with Ride later today. And then also we'll bring it back up tomorrow on the show. And we'll find out, you know, if Mitch stayed in this trade or not. So, but Lordstown Motors, I mean, we've talked about it so many times. This is one of the biggest news items they've had, right? To get the new CEO, to turn around the company, to help lead, you know, the progress. Yeah, so it looks like Mark already smashed the like button. Hopefully everyone out there also smashes the like. We got Sue calling for 200 likes.
Let's do it.
Let's get to 200 likes for Sue. Sue's
Get
one of the first
there.
people in this chat every day, one of our loyal viewers. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if you guys like this YOLO, just get ready. On Power Hour, I think they're going to be talking to someone that likes AMC, so get ready for that. I just wanted to do a little YOLO action for us today.
Well, isn't today Thursday? What does that mean? Doesn't that mean that tomorrow is Friday? And aren't there some YOLO options trades on Friday? You know, from that morning trade show that you're a part of? I feel like I've seen some YOLO trades on there.
Yeah, you've seen it. You've seen it. There you go. Smashing it up. That's what I like to hear, guys. Definitely enjoying it. That's what I mean. How could you not like this show? Where else is this happening right now? Who else is taking the YOLO on ride right now? Let me know. Get ready for the pull down. Guess what? I don't got to worry about it. I put a stop out.
Mitch, before we go, I do want to make sure I do a little plug here, right? I put it in the private chat here. We have a tweet out from Benzinga if you want to pull that up. I do have an NFT show, right, that just started not too long ago called The Roadmap. We've talked about SPACs on here that have NFTs. Today, we're doing a huge interview with Oni Force, which is one of the biggest NFT projects out there. And Mitch, we will actually be giving away an NFT to someone in the chat today during the interview between 2 and 3.
I have to show up.
You might have to show up. That NFT, I think, is valued at $300. I don't know the exact amount. I guess I'll find out later as well. But if you can pull that up, Mitch, I think the wording is that people have to subscribe to Benzinga's YouTube channel. So if you're already a subscriber, you're already in luck. You just got to show up and watch the interview and find out how to win. If you're not a subscriber, you got to join the stream and make sure you subscribe, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to enter this contest. What do you think of that, Mitch? Are we going to get some new YouTube subscribers today or what?
I say we definitely get it. I mean, look at that roadmap here, guys. Definitely.
There's that picture on the right. That's what you're winning there. It's a strawberry NFT. That is the giveaway today.
And that
is from the development team that made Own E4. So if you're familiar with Own E4,
forever.
Yeah, you might have a strawberry field forever in your NFT portfolio today after this video. So definitely join us on the roadmap later.
When is it? What time? What time?
2 p.m. Eastern time today. So you got 2 hours. And again, if you just stay here all day, you're going to catch it anyways, right? Because we got Power Hour coming up next. You're going to hear from Luke. You're going to hear from Aaron. You're going to hear about AMC, like Mitch said. And then at 1 o'clock, you got at 1 o'clock, you got Get Technical with Neil and Aaron. Who knows what Neil's going to talk about today, but that show is always so entertaining. And then at 2 o'clock, I'll be back with the roadmap and again, big interview and an NFT giveaway. So guys, if you're not watching Benzinga, I don't know why, because it's the place to be for trade ideas, for content, and today for giveaways.
Like always, guys, what we do is we get you guys the information, also have fun with you guys. That's why we're doing some fun stuff like taking live trades, talking about giving away NFTs. You guys do us a favor by smashing that like. The subscribe below is what it's really all about, because you get notifications, right? You want to be notified to our streams. You get things like NFTs. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever been to the Friday quiz show, but definitely check that out. I think Chris and I don't even miss it just because we love it so much.
Yeah, I might have to stop playing trivia on Fridays because I feel like I win or finish in the top 5, and I gotta let some other people win, right? I enjoy it though. It's such a fun show, and what a cool format, right? Where all you have to do is type 1, 2, 3, or 4 to answer a question in the chat, and it automatically calculates your answers. I mean, what a cool program we have here on Benzinga. So many cool shows out there.
Without a doubt. You know, one thing is, hey, stick around, guys. We have action-packed day. We're going to get into AMC in Power Hour. We also got an interview for you then. Later today, we got some great shows going to be coming in. I'm going to be trying to sneak on maybe on at the close. We'll see if I'm able to make it on there. But like always, stick around because this is just getting started. The SPAC game, I don't think it's going around anytime soon. I'm going to be doing this for a long time. I know there's going to be a time where Chris and I are going to look back and be like, man, there's that Amazon we should have had. But we'll see what exactly those SPACs will be and when we get to that. Like always, we'll be here and we'll see you next time. Power Hour should be starting up in about the next couple of minutes. Anything you got, Chris, before we get on out?
That's it. You know, those are the 2 things I would tell everyone. You know, make sure you come back for the roadmap, but ultimately just don't go anywhere. Just stay here all day and you'll already be watching. Exciting content here on Benzinga, and I will catch everyone later at 2, but I'll be watching in the background throughout the day.
All right, guys, let me go ahead and just give an update here towards the trade. Trying to take a look here where Ride is trading. Looks like, let me bring up a little bit more real time here.
I saw 675 again is what I saw
after
a little bit of a dip. You didn't get stopped out. I don't think we dipped that low yet.
We're just hanging out. We're just hanging out here. It's still hanging out. I have my stop place, so I don't really got to worry. Normally, I don't place like stops just to let you guys know. But when you're on a show, that might be the best thing to do, just to give you an idea. But definitely let me know what you guys thought about me taking a live trade here on SPAC's Attack. If you guys want to see more of that, or you guys want to see a certain interview, hit us up in the comments below, because that's what it's really all about. We need your feedback to get better. If we don't get your feedback out there, how do you expect us to get better? This is what it's all about. We love you out there. I know Chris and I definitely enjoy doing this show. If not, we would have got rid of it a long time ago. We could just be honest about that. We've been here through the rough times in the SPAC. We're going to be here through the rises and the waves. Get ready, because at the end of the day, I think in the long run, we will get another wave. Smash the thumbs and let the Power Hour guys know, man, can you guys step it up to the SPACs attack level? Because we're taking over the world.
Bye, everyone.